Thank you both. We'll begin the questioning. I'll go first. Chief Modlin, would you agree that the cartels currently exercise significant control over who is allowed to illegally cross in between the ports of entry?
Chairman, thank you. What I see in Tucson sector, my experience is that no one crosses the border in Tucson sector without going through the cartels. It's, in the past, if you don't mind me expounding just a little bit, in my career started in San Diego, it was not uncommon for migrants to make it to the border and then just cross and then try to do the best they could. In Tucson sector, everything south of the border is controlled by the cartels.
So do the cartels try to overwhelm Border Patrol agents by illegally crossing large groups of individuals at a single time?
Yes, sir. So what we see, that although that is very rare in Tucson sector, maybe once or twice a week we'll see a group of about 100 people, sort of what we refer to as a give-up group. It gives up in a very remote area. And of course, when that happens, our first priority is to get to that group, sort of triage that group, determine if there's vulnerable populations in that group. But these locations could potentially be hours from the nearest paved road. So to get that group out of there takes a tremendous amount of personnel, which leaves other areas vulnerable.
Right. As you mentioned, it takes significant law enforcement to respond to those large groups. Have these crossings of large groups gotten more frequent over the last couple of years?
Sir, in my experience in the Tucson sector, it has gone up a little bit. However, the biggest change that we've seen in the Tucson sector, as I mentioned in my opening statement, is really the task saturation. What they're doing to us out there is a newer tactic, which is to break what used to be traditionally groups of maybe 10 to 20, which Border Patrol agents are trained to be able to apprehend a group of 10 to 20 people. However, it also takes a single Border Patrol agent to apprehend a single person coming across the border. And so the predominant tactic in the Tucson sector is to allow people to cross by themselves or in groups of 2 or 3, which then saturates our ability to respond.
Okay. Chief Chavez, do the cartels intentionally put migrants in peril so that U.S. Border Patrol agents respond to conduct rescue operations?
That is correct, Chairman. I think that for the Rio Grande Valley, for example, as Chief Modlin was saying, we have experienced a large group situation as well. For us, I think we've had this fiscal year 22 different types of groups in the most western portion of the RGV. And a lot of times, because we have so much brushland out there, the Big King Ranch area up in the Rio Grande Valley, many times, especially during the summer months, there's a lot of migrants out there that are out there requiring rescue. So a lot of times our agents are out there rescuing people, being task saturated in rescues, abandoning frontline operations. So therefore, cartels have take advantage of that area.
Have rescue operations by Border Patrol increased over the last couple of years?
Yes, they have, Chairman. For us, I think last year we had over 1,100 rescues just in the RGV area, and we are expecting that number to supersede last year.
Chief Modlin, we know that the majority of fentanyl seized was seized in the controlled environment of ports of entry. Does that mean that we shouldn't worry about the cartels trafficking illicit narcotics, including deadly fentanyl, in between the ports of entry?
Chairman, what I can tell you from my experience in Tucson sectors, last year we seized about 700 pounds of fentanyl. To give you an idea, based on the lethality of a dose of fentanyl, that's enough to kill everyone in Arizona 21 times, or basically half the population of the United States. And that was encountered, 52% of that, so the majority of that was encountered in the field. So that is predominantly being backpacked across the border. The other 48% was caught at our immigration checkpoints, sir.
There have been hundreds of thousands of gotaways just in the last few months, almost 600,000 estimated last year. Chief Modlin, are you concerned that the cartels are leveraging a chaotic situation to bring in criminals or suspected terrorists who evade apprehension entirely?
Sir, gotaways are incredibly important. Tucson sector has seen a lot of them. As I described earlier, that process of task saturating us does leave areas vulnerable and then allows people to cross that we're aware of in the case of a gotaway, but we just literally can't get there to apprehend them. I think the other concern is the sort of unknown amount of gotaways, the people that we don't see. I do know that Tucson sector, years ago, about 10 or 15 years ago, had a significant laydown of technology. So Tucson sector does have an incredible amount of situational awareness, and so we are aware of the folks that are getting away.
So it sounds like the cartels are taking advantage of a historically high flow of illegal immigration to overwhelm Border Patrol agents' resources, place migrants in peril, and undermine border security by introducing deadly narcotics, criminals, and terrorists into our country. It's unfortunate then that President Biden's administration removed many of the deterrent policies that were working to reduce the flow of illegal border crossings and keep cartels in check. For 2 years, we've watched the crisis unfold with little oversight. No longer. With that, I yield to the ranking member.